Welcome to our Devos. Thank you for joining us this week. We are going to be talking about reclaiming dominion. What's that mean? Well, dominion was God's original intention for how we as human beings ought to live on the world that he created. And it's easy for us to want to shy away from these things and say, well, I don't know, this idea of dominion, that God wants us to be in charge and be in control of things. Well, the truth is, one of the reasons why we get wrapped up into addiction is because we give control of ourselves over to a substance, to a feeling, to some sort of high, and we lose sight of the fact that dominion has now reversed roles. We are giving dominion over to whatever that thing is. So today, I want to talk to you simply about when we're shaping this up and trying to examine it from a standpoint of how to view this addiction or this bad behavior. I'm going to get away from just physical addictions. We'll talk about behaviors that might not necessarily require rehabilitation, but you want to start by controlling what you can. Controlling what you can. So I was talking to somebody, this was in a business setting a couple days ago, and we were talking about different things they can do in their roles. They're in a pretty big corporate job. They have a lot of people under them. And I said, what would a breakthrough look like for you? And this person said, I can't ever get a breakthrough. And I said, why? And they said, because nothing's in my control. I said, nothing's in your control. She said, nothing. There's nothing in my control. I said, not one thing. I said, there's not one thing in your organization. Like from the moment you come into work, your behaviors are completely controlled by people that are not you. And she said, yeah. And I said, can you control how you think? And she literally stopped and thought about this. And she said, well, yeah. I said, is there anything? And we started to peel back the layers of this to see that there is stuff that she can control. And the problem with this is some of us, what we do is we give not having control of things around us as an excuse to not control the things that we can. Now, I'm not about being a control freak. I don't believe that you should say, I want to control everybody around me. But what I'm saying is there are things that the Lord has given as an opportunity for you to control. So here's some things you can control. You can control what time you go to sleep, unless you're dealing with crying baby or somebody that's keeping you up. If you want to change your sleep schedule, there's a lot of chances that you can figure out a way to do that. So you can control that. You can control the way you wake up. You're like, well, I can't control. I have cravings for food. Pastor Mike talked about that a couple weeks ago. Can you control the food that comes in your house? Can you make a no Wendy's rule in your house? Can you say, I'm not going to keep this certain kind of candy in my house? What is it? When it comes to control, if you're struggling with physical drug addiction, can you control the fact that people can contact you on your cell phone? Well, yes. You just change your number. I know that's unsettling. It's going to disrupt your world. But what would you rather have? Would you rather have something that has dominion over you, or would you rather reclaim that dominion and control what you can? Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27, I discipline, beat into subjection, literally, my body, and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. He talks about this idea of controlling himself so much, controlling what he can do. And if you want to look at anyone who had a life that was out of control, it was the Apostle Paul. He started off, he was on the road to Damascus. You figure he was stricken blind by Jesus Christ himself. He then answers the call into ministry. He goes from being the most zealous Jewish defender of the Jewish faith to the most zealous protector of the newly fledgling Christian faith. He goes into that. He starts into a church that's already established and growing. He has no control of how that's going, except he keeps doing what he can do. He keeps ministering. He keeps discipling people. He keeps preaching the gospel. He controls what he can control. How about you? Are you willing to control what you can so that way the thing that's controlling you will become a thing of the past?